The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the usual arrogance of 1,000 civilizations that have forgotten what it meant to struggle. High Chancellor Vex adjusted his ceremonial robes and gazed down at the holographic display showing a small blue planet in the Outer Rim territories. The planet was called Earth, and its inhabitants had just achieved faster-than-light travel. Another primitive species, Vex announced to the assembled delegates. They've barely mastered antimatter propulsion and still wage wars among themselves. The standard integration protocol should suffice. The council members chittered and buzzed. Their agreement. For 50,000 years, they had followed the same process. Contact, evaluate, integrate, or eliminate. It was a system that had brought peace to the galaxy by ensuring only the civilized survived. Dr. Kira, the council's chief, xenobiologist, stood from her position in the lower tier. Her forearms trembled slightly as she accessed her datapad. High Chancellor, I must object to the standard protocol. My preliminary studies of this species show some concerning traits. A wave of dismissive laughter rippled through the chamber. Vex's mandibles clicked in annoyance. Concerning? They're barely out of their stone age. What could possibly concern you about such primitives? Their biological markers are unlike anything we've cataloged, Kira insisted, her voice growing stronger. Their stress response systems are extraordinarily robust. They possess redundant cardiovascular pathways, enhanced adrenal production, and their neural plasticity ratings are off our scales. Most troubling, they seem to thrive under extreme pressure. Commander Zack of the Hegemony Defense Forces interjected with a snort. So they're resilient. Many species are. The Thoraxians can survive in vacuum. The crystalline collective can regenerate. From fragments, what makes these humans special? Kira's compound eyes flickered with data streams. It's not just their individual capabilities. They exhibit unprecedented collective behavior under threat. Historical analysis shows they become more unified and dangerous when faced with extinction-level events. They call it total war, a concept that appears to have no equivalent in civilized societies. The chamber fell silent for a moment before, erupting in scoffs and dismissive gestures. High Chancellor Vex stood, his height casting shadows across the assembly. Dr. Kira, your scientific dedication is admirable, but you're overthinking this. These humans are isolated, divided, and technologically inferior. They pose no threat to our established order. I strongly recommend we attempt peaceful integration, Kira pleaded. Send diplomatic envoys, offer them knowledge and technology. In exchange for compliance, do not threaten them. Vex's expression hardened. The Galactic Council has maintained peace for millennia by ensuring lesser species understand their place. We will not break protocol for a collection of primitive mammals who have yet to achieve interstellar colonization. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Sci-Fi stellar conflict is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you're hungry for HFY battles and tales of human valor against alien might, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us bring these frontlines to you. The vote was swift and decisive. Integration Protocol 7 would be implemented, a show of overwhelming force to demonstrate the futility of resistance, followed by occupation and cultural assimilation. It had worked on 3,000 worlds without fail. As the council dispersed, Kira remained in her seat, staring at the holographic Earth. Her research had revealed something the council refused to acknowledge. Humans were the galaxy's first apex predator species to achieve spaceflight. Every other civilization had evolved as prey animals, herd creatures, or peaceful collective organisms. They had never encountered a species that had clawed its way to the top of its food chain through pure aggression and adaptation, the integration fleet was already being assembled. 500 ships, enough to break the spirit of any reasonable species. Commander Zack personally volunteered to lead the mission, seeing it as an opportunity for easy glory and rapid promotion. Dr. Kira submitted her final report, knowing it would be buried in bureaucratic archives. In it, she wrote a single, prophetic line: "We are not conquering a civilization. We are awakening a sleeping monster." The die was cast. Within days, the most powerful military force in galactic history would arrive at Earth's doorstep, expecting another routine subjugation. Instead, They would discover that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their absolute refusal to kneel before any power that threatened their freedom. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you cornered the descendants of apex predators. The human diplomatic vessel Olive Branch drifted peacefully through the asteroid belt beyond Mars, its hull gleaming with the freshly painted symbols of Earth's United Nations. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the long-range sensors as they detected the approaching alien fleet. 500 ships materialized from hyperspace in perfect formation, their exotic hulls reflecting the distant sun. "Open channels," Morrison ordered, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earth vessel Olive Branch. We come in peace and welcome you to our solar system." The response came in perfect, clinical English. "Human vessel, you will power down your engines and prepare for boarding. Your species has been selected for integration into the Galactic Council. Compliance is not optional." Morrison exchanged glances with his first officer, Lisa Park. They had prepared for many scenarios, but an immediate ultimatum hadn't been one of them. "Respectfully, we'd prefer to establish formal diplomatic relations first. We've prepared cultural exchanges, and you have 30 seconds to comply." The transmission cut off. Morrison felt his heart rate spike as the tactical display showed energy signatures building across the alien fleet. "All stop, raise shields. Send an immediate burst transmission to Earth Command. First contact hostile. Recommend immediate defensive posture." The first energy lance struck the Olive Branch amidships, punching through the shields like they were tissue paper. The ship shuddered, and Morrison was thrown against his command chair. Emergency lighting bathed the bridge in red as systems failed across the ship. "Hull breach on decks 5 through 7, Park reported, her voice tight with controlled fear. "We're losing atmosphere." Morrison gripped his armrests, feeling something ancient and primal awakening in his chest. The same feeling his ancestors had experienced when saber-toothed tigers cornered them in dark caves. "All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for emergency evacuation. Send final transmission to Earth." They fired first. The second barrage tore the Olive Branch apart. Light years away, Admiral Stone received the transmission in Earth's command center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The message was only 3 words long, but it changed everything. They fired first. Stone was a veteran of humanity's last global conflict, a man who understood that some lines, once crossed, could never be uncrossed. He turned to his staff, his weathered face hard as granite. "Gentlemen, we just lost our first peaceful contact with an alien species. They destroyed a diplomatic vessel flying under a flag of truce." He paused, letting the weight settle. "As of this moment, we are at war." The room erupted in controlled chaos as officers began implementing protocols that had been theoretical until this moment. Defense grids came online, hidden weapons platforms activated, and across Earth's solar system, humanity's carefully concealed military preparations began to reveal themselves. Commander Zack watched the debris of the human ship scatter into the asteroid belt and felt a surge of satisfaction. The primitive species had been given a chance to submit peacefully and had chosen defiance. Now they would learn the price of opposing the Galactic Council. "Begin the bombardment of their homeworld," he ordered. "Standard planetary suppression. Pattern: we'll break their industrial capacity first, then their spirit." The alien fleet began its stately approach toward Earth, expecting to find a helpless world populated by primitives who would surrender at the first show of real force. Instead, they found something unprecedented in 50,000 years of galactic history, a species that had spent its entire existence preparing for war. The first indication something was wrong came when the human planet's defensive grids opened fire. Energy weapons of impossible intensity reached across millions of kilometers, striking the lead elements of the alien fleet. Ships that had never taken damage in centuries of police actions began to burn. "How is this possible?" Zack demanded. "Our intelligence indicated they had barely achieved spaceflight." His tactical officer's voice shook with disbelief. "Sir, they're not just defending from their planet. Sensor sweeps show weapons platforms throughout their system. Hidden bases on moons, asteroid installations, even weapon systems disguised as civilian infrastructure. For the first time in his career, Commander Zack felt something he didn't recognize: fear. The humans had seen them coming and had prepared accordingly. But it was more than that. These weren't defensive positions hastily thrown together. This was a species that had weaponized their entire solar system. As the alien fleet pressed forward, taking increasing casualties, Earth's response was swift and decisive. Within hours, manufacturing centers across the planet had shifted to full wartime production. Civilian populations that had been celebrating first contact 12 hours earlier now grimly prepared for total war. The galaxy was about to discover what made humans truly dangerous. They had evolved not just as predators, but as survivors. The war room beneath Geneva buzzed with an energy that would have been impossible to imagine just 48 hours earlier. President Elena Vasquez stood before a holographic display showing the entire solar system, her expression grave as she watched red dots representing enemy ships inch closer to Earth. "Report," she commanded. General Marcus Webb, Chief of Solar Defense, stepped forward. "The enemy fleet has lost 87 ships to our fixed defenses, but they're adapting quickly. Their remaining 413 vessels are proceeding toward Earth in a modified formation that minimizes our kill zones." Dr. Sarah Chun, Director of Emergency Technologies, interrupted. "Madam President, I need to brief you on Project Prometheus. We've had breakthrough developments in the last 18 hours. Vasquez turned to face the scientist. Throughout human history, their species had shown an uncanny ability to innovate under extreme pressure. "What do you have for me, Doctor?" "The enemy's attack has provided us with perfect samples of their technology," Chun explained, her eyes bright with discovery. "Our analysis teams have reverse-engineered their shields, weapons, and propulsion systems. More importantly, we've identified critical vulnerabilities." She activated a tactical display showing the alien ship schematics. Their civilization has been peaceful for so long that they've forgotten the importance of redundancy. Their ships have centralized power cores, single point-of-failure command systems, and their armor is optimized for asteroid impacts, not directed energy weapons. General Webb leaned forward. "What are you saying, Doctor?" "I'm saying we can build weapons specifically designed to kill their ships. Not just damage them, kill them. My teams have been working around the clock, and we'll have the first generation of human anti-alien weapons ready for deployment within 6 hours." Vasquez felt a familiar sensation, the same one her species had experienced for millennia when their backs were against the wall. Humans didn't just fight, they adapted, evolved, and overcame. How many weapons? Enough to outfit every remaining ship in the fleet, plus ground-based installations. But there's more. Chun's expression grew intense. "We've discovered something extraordinary about their biology. They're essentially hive-minded, with individual consciousness subordinated to collective thinking. They literally cannot comprehend the concept of individual sacrifice for group survival." The implications hit everyone in the room simultaneously. Humanity's entire military doctrine was built on the idea that individual soldiers would willingly die for their comrades, their families, their species. The aliens had just declared war on a civilization that had perfected the art of noble sacrifice. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Commander Zack was discovering the first rule of human warfare. They never fought fair. His fleet was under constant harassment from small, fast-moving craft that appeared from nowhere, struck with devastating precision, and vanished before his forces could respond. "These attacks are impossible," his tactical officer reported. "They're using our own debris fields as cover, launching from concealed positions we can't detect until they're firing." Zack watched another of his ships explode in a brilliant flash of light. "They're not fighting like a civilized species. There's no honor in these tactics." That was precisely the point. Humans had learned long ago that survival trumped honor. That victory justified any means necessary. They had spent millennia fighting each other, perfecting arts of war that the peaceful galactic civilization had never needed to develop. Back on Earth, the response was taking shape with frightening efficiency. Factory workers who had been producing consumer goods now manufactured weapons. Scientists who had been researching medical applications were developing new ways to kill alien invaders. Children who had been playing games were now learning to spot enemy infiltrators. The transformation was complete and terrifying. Humanity had revealed its true nature, not explorers reaching for the stars, but predators awakening from a brief slumber. Captain Maria Santos led the first wave of upgraded human fighters toward the alien fleet. Her ship, the Retribution, had been a peaceful exploration vessel just days ago. Now it bristled with weapons designed specifically to exploit alien vulnerabilities. "Remember," she broadcast to her squadron, "they fired first. They killed our diplomats. They came to our home with the intention of enslaving us." Her voice carried the cold fury of a species that had finally found an enemy worthy of their full attention. "Show them what happens when you threaten humanity." The human counterattack began with a precision that stunned the alien fleet. Every shot was calculated, every maneuver designed to maximize casualties while minimizing human losses. The aliens found themselves facing an enemy that fought with mathematical brutality, turning warfare into a science. For the first time in 50,000 years, the Galactic Council was losing a war, and they were losing it to a species they had dismissed as primitive. The galaxy was about to learn that the most dangerous predator wasn't the one that roared loudest, but the one that had been quietly sharpening its claws. Admiral Stone stood in the command center watching the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The human fleet had smashed through the alien front lines, leaving scattered debris and fleeing ships in their wake. But this was just the beginning. "Status report," he commanded. "Enemy fleet is in full retreat toward the outer system," reported Commander Lisa Park, recently promoted after surviving the destruction of the Olive Branch. "They've lost over half their ships. Our casualties are minimal. 12 fighters. Lost, 37 wounded." Stone nodded, but his expression remained hard. "They came here to enslave us. Retreat isn't good enough. Signal the fleet. Pursue and destroy. No quarter." The human fleet surged forward with a predatory grace that would have been impossible just weeks ago. Each ship moved with purpose, part of a coordinated killing machine that had evolved from humanity's darkest instincts. The aliens had awakened something that had been sleeping in human DNA for millennia: the pack hunter. Aboard the flagship Nemesis, Captain Torres watched the fleeing alien vessels with cold calculation. "Target their command ship. I want to send a message to whoever's listening." The human weapons, refined through constant battle, tore through alien shields like they were made of paper. The command vessel, a massive dreadnought that had been the pride of the Galactic Council, broke apart in a cascade of explosions that lit up the darkness of space. Light years away, the Galactic Council received the transmission with growing horror. High Chancellor Vex stared at the holographic display showing the battle's aftermath. Of the 500 ships they had sent, fewer than 100 remained, and they were scattered across the outer system in full retreat. "This is impossible," Vex whispered. "They're primitives. They shouldn't have lasted 5 minutes against our fleet." Dr. Kira stepped forward, her expression grave. "I tried to warn you, High Chancellor. Humans are not like us. They don't think like us. They don't fight like us." "Explain," Vex demanded. "Every species in the Council evolved as either prey animals or peaceful collective organisms. We developed intelligence to avoid conflict, to build consensus, to find harmony. Humans evolved as apex predators. They developed intelligence to hunt, to kill, to dominate." Kira's voice was quiet but firm. "We just declared war on a species that has spent 3 million years perfecting the art of violence." The implications settled over the council chamber like a death shroud. For 50,000 years, they had maintained peace by ensuring that violent species never achieved spaceflight. Humanity was the first exception, and they were proving exactly why the rule existed. "What do we do?" someone asked from the back of the chamber. "We pray they're willing to negotiate," Kira replied. "Because if they're not, we've just united the galaxy's most dangerous species against us." Back in the Sol system, humanity was demonstrating exactly what made them terrifying. They weren't content to simply repel the invasion. They were analyzing every piece of alien technology, learning from every engagement, and preparing for the next phase of the war. Dr. Chun burst into the command center with barely contained excitement. Admiral, we've reverse-engineered their hyperspace drives. Not only that, we've improved them. Our ships can now travel faster than theirs, and we've developed a way to track their hyperspace signatures. Stone felt a predatory smile cross his face. Are you telling me we can follow them home? I'm telling you we can find every alien colony, every military base, every population center in their entire confederation. They've handed us the keys to their entire civilization. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity now possessed the ability to take the war to their enemies' home systems. The aliens had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive species they could easily subjugate. Instead, they had given humanity the tools to become the galaxy's dominant military power. Signal all commands, Stone ordered. We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're going to end this war on our terms. The human fleet began its transformation from a defensive force to an invasion army. Ships that had been designed for exploration were retrofitted with weapons specifically designed to kill aliens. Soldiers, who had been trained for peacekeeping, were retrained for conquest. But perhaps most importantly, humanity's factories were now producing weapons and ships at a rate that would have been impossible for their peace-loving enemies to comprehend. The aliens had spent millennia optimizing their society for comfort and consensus. Humans had spent millennia optimizing theirs for survival and warfare. The first human strike force departed for enemy territory within a week of the failed invasion. Their mission was simple: demonstrate to the galaxy that attacking Earth had consequences. They would find the aliens' home systems, destroy their military capabilities, and force them to surrender unconditionally. As the human ships disappeared into hyperspace, Admiral Stone reflected on the irony. The aliens had come to integrate humanity into their peaceful galactic civilization. Instead, they had guaranteed that humanity would integrate the galaxy into their own vision of order through conquest. The galaxy was about to learn that. The most dangerous mistake was giving weapons to a species that had never forgotten how to use them. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so quiet. For the first time in 50,000 years, the representatives of 1,000 civilizations sat in stunned silence as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. 12 alien systems had fallen to human forces in just 3 weeks. Not occupied, fallen. Completely conquered with a brutality that defied comprehension. High Chancellor Vex stared at the holographic display showing the latest casualty reports. The humans weren't just winning battles. They were rewriting the rules of galactic warfare. Their fleets moved with impossible coordination, struck with devastating precision, and showed no mercy to those who resisted. The hegemony defense forces have been completely eliminated, reported Commander Sack, his voice hollow with defeat. The humans didn't just destroy our fleets. They hunted down every ship, every space station, every military installation. They left our merchant vessels alone, but anything that could be used for war was obliterated. Dr. Kira stood in the center of the chamber, her 4 arms trembling with exhaustion. She had spent the last month trying to make the Council understand what they had unleashed. The humans aren't fighting for territory or resources. They're fighting for survival, and they've decided that their survival requires our complete submission. How is this possible? Vex demanded. They're one species against 1,000. They're one species that has spent its entire existence preparing for exactly this scenario, Kira replied. Every human military doctrine, every strategic theory, every tactical innovation has been developed through constant warfare. They've been fighting each other for millennia, perfecting arts of war that we abandoned before we achieved spaceflight. A new voice cut through the chamber, young, confident, and speaking flawless galactic standard. The assembly turned to see a human woman walking calmly toward the center of the chamber, flanked by 2 guards who moved with predatory grace. My name is Ambassador Sarah Collins, she announced. I represent the United Earth government, and I'm here to discuss terms of surrender. The council erupted in outrage. Vex's mandibles clicked furiously as he stood. Surrender? You are one primitive species against the combined might of the galaxy. Collins smiled, and something about that expression made the assembled aliens instinctively step back. High Chancellor, in the past month, human forces have destroyed 47% of your military capabilities. We've conquered 12 of your key strategic systems. Most importantly, we've demonstrated that we can strike anywhere in the galaxy with impunity. She activated a holographic display showing the current state of the war. Red indicators showed human-controlled systems spreading like a virus through the galaxy's spiral arms. We estimate that complete conquest of the Galactic Council will take approximately 6 months at our current rate of expansion. This is impossible, Vex whispered. The mathematics don't work. You don't have enough ships, enough soldiers, enough resources. You're thinking like a prey species, Collins replied coldly. You're trying to understand war as a resource management problem. Humans understand war as an evolutionary pressure. Every battle makes us stronger. Every conquest gives us more ships, more soldiers, more resources. We're not just defeating you. We're assimilating your military capabilities and turning them against you. The truth hit the chamber like a physical blow. The humans weren't just winning through superior tactics. They were growing stronger with each victory. They had turned the galaxy's own military infrastructure against itself. What do you want? Vex asked, his voice barely audible. Unconditional surrender, Collins replied. Complete dissolution of the Galactic Council. Recognition of human authority over all previously Council-controlled systems. And most importantly, acknowledgement that humanity is now the dominant species in this galaxy. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives screamed protests, threats, and pleas in 100 different languages. But Collins stood calmly in the center of the storm, waiting. Finally, Vex raised his hand for silence. And if we refuse? Collins' smile turned predatory. Then you'll discover what happens when you back a species into a corner. The forces you've seen so far represent less than 10% of Earth's military capability. We've been holding back, hoping you'd be reasonable. But if you prefer total war, humanity is prepared to deliver it. The silence that followed was deafening. For 50,000 years, the Galactic Council had maintained peace through overwhelming force. Now they faced a species that had turned their own doctrine against them and proven that they were the galaxy's true apex predators. Dr. Kira stepped forward one final time. High Chancellor, I told you from the beginning. We didn't discover a primitive species. We awakened a sleeping monster. The choice now is simple. Surrender and survive, or resist and be exterminated. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in galactic history, the Galactic Council surrendered unconditionally to a single species. As Ambassador Collins departed to report humanity's victory, she reflected on the irony. The aliens had come to Earth to integrate humanity into their peaceful civilization. Instead, they had guaranteed that humanity would reshape the galaxy according to their own vision of order, through strength, through unity, and through the absolute refusal to kneel before any power that threatened their freedom. The galaxy now had a new apex predator, and it was finally awake.